Alrighty guys, where I left you off in part 1, we made one of these and I asked you to head off on your own and make a second one. Now this is a little full because I've done some work on it already, and this is what we're going to do now. Alright, so what you would have done with your green, you would have slip stitched to join into your last stitch, which was right there, your stitch marker stitch. And we had our little orange stitch marker in the just under the chain 1 space. Now if you have removed that stitch marker and don't know where you are, just know that that knot right there, we're going to remove a stitch marker, that knot right there, you need to go into the chain space just before the knot. All right, hope that made sense. And we're going to tuck that little tail in there for now, and you're changing back to your main color, which is the blue, or Petrol, which is the name of the color. Yep. Just pull the loop through like normal. You're going to do a normal round of this, just passing your tail forward, locking it into place. And we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the same space. I'm going to ignore that green tail, yeah. Oh, and pop your blue tail at the back as well for now. Chain 1. Oops, forgot to put the stitch marker in. Make sure you put that orange stitch marker in. We're going back to no slip stitching, just single crocheting across. All right, so we've chained 1. We are going to, I'm in that stitch there, we're going to move over the stitch and jump into the next space with a single crochet. Yep, chain 1, you know this part, we've done this all along, jumping into every space, every chain 1 space with a single crochet. All right, so I'm going to pop this on fast and we're going to go right across until we get to the other side, and off we go. All right, so we are here at the end of the round. I'm going to get a nice close-up for you because mine, I've changed back to the dark colours. I still have one more space right there. I've chained 1. I'm going to pop my single crochet in the space like so. Chain 1. If you want to count your stitches across right now, you should have your 44 little V's if you're going to count the top stitches. I'm not going to because I counted mine earlier. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're not going to slip stitch. We are going to do, I don't know if I've split the stitch there. I'm going to take the stitch marker out. We're going to do a single crochet in the stitch marker stitch. All right, I think I just split that stitch. So jump into the stitch marker stitch and do a single crochet just like that. Pop your stitch marker in that stitch once again. And in this row, all you're doing is a single crochet in every space and a single crochet in every stitch. So single crochet into the space, single into your stitch right there. Single into your next space, single into the stitch. Space, stitch, space, and stitch. All right, so I'm going to pop this on fast, a single all the way across into every space and every stitch. Meet me right here at the end and we'll talk about what's going to happen next, and off we go. All right, so we are here. I'm in that second last stitch, so I've got one space there, and right here I have a stitch and a space left. Before you continue, all right, remember in part 1 where I stopped you from adding the extra single crochet at the end of this row, the very final row here, before starting the pattern, because we needed an even amount of stitches to start the pattern. We're going to add that stitch now, but not in the space, because I started adding it in the space in the first glove and made a big gap. So what we're going to do is put 2 single crochets in the second last stitch right there. So 1 and 2. And then you just put your single crochet in the space and you have added your stitch. So you should have 45 stitches right here, right now. All right, so we're just going to do a normal single crochet in the next stitch like that. Remove your stitch marker, pop it in that stitch and just pull up a loop so you can see exactly what you did there. All right, if you don't add that extra stitch now, or even in the next round, if you don't like it there, you can add it in the next round, but you need to add an extra stitch at the end of one of the rounds before we can continue. So from here, we are now going to do what we do in most rounds, single crochets. All right, no increases, nothing. We are going to do single crochets in the round. All right, so really, I don't think I need to show you, but I'll start you off. All you're doing in this round, and you've got your stitch marker there, keep it there, single crochet into every stitch you come to, okay, and that is going to happen for the next 3 rounds. No increasing, just single crochet in the round and then single crochet into that stitch, replace the stitch marker, do it again. You need to do altogether 3 single crochet rounds. So 3 more rounds, single crochet all the way around, and then what I want you to do is meet me back here and we'll start working on the thumb digit. All right, so single crochet in the round for another 3 more rounds. Meet me back here and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to do your 3 rounds of single crochet and you should be around there. Now I'm not sure if I showed you how to weave in one end. Now if you've already weaved it in, it doesn't matter. You can actually go to this time right here now and that will continue on with our glove. But for the rest of you who haven't weaved in that end that was along here, let's bring that up. See that end that was along here that we crocheted over and then there was this little tail left. I don't think I mentioned that in part 1 of the tutorial. So we're going to quickly weave this end in. It'll take no more than 2 seconds. Best part is you've got all of this thickness here to weave it in, and you just go through some of the thicknesses. Yeah, like that. Doesn't have to be really perfect. Except I didn't leave a long enough tail to get out, as you do. So go through there and a few, let's do a few more, just a few more. And once you get down to a certain length, you go back up one more time. And I wouldn't stress too much about this because you have also crocheted over the knot as well. All right, so just go through one more time and that's pretty much it. All right, I knew it wasn't going to take too long. But that's the last thread that you'll need to weave in for this part. Now the reason I'm showing you this is because we're going to soon start this particular area again. But for now, first thing we're going to do is do a single crochet in the very first stitch with your stitch marker. Now remember, you should have 45 single crochets across now. Yep. So remove your stitch marker and replace it. All right, and now what we're going to do, let's bring this out a little bit. We're going to start on making the thumb, which would mean making some chains and then single crocheting around here somewhere, which we'll do now. But both hands will be different, okay? The chains will work this way, and on this one, when we're ready to do this side, the chains are going to work towards the end. We're going to start the chains towards the end. But you don't have to worry about the left-hand side. We are working on the right-hand side of your glove, all right? So we're all going to chain 9. Let's get a nice close up. Chain 1. Try not to do them too tight. Don't leave them too loose either, but don't do them too tight or you can't get into them in the next round. So 1, 2, 3, without splitting it. Chain your 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure you didn't move it. Yeah. And you're going to count 9 stitches across and then do a single crochet in your 10th. Let me remove that little piece of thread there. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're in this one already. Yeah. So we're going to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And right into your 10th stitch, pop your hook, pull a loop through, and you're doing your normal single crochet like so. All right, so if you want to count those stitches, the spaces again, just in case. So 1, 2, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's tucked in there. Right there. Yep. And then your job now is to just single crochet into every stitch until you get to your stitch marker. All right, so I have one more single crochet right there. Don't forget that last one. Yeah. All right, and don't forget we're going to pop a single crochet in our stitch marker stitch as well. So pop your single crochet in that stitch marker stitch, but replace it right there. All right, and then what you're going to do, in your 9 chains across, you're going to pop a single crochet across each stitch. Now being careful not to miss any, and just pop it in the top loop like so. Just 1 there, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I've got a 9th one in here. Really tight 9th one in there. Right there. Did I split it? Yeah, I think I did. Alright, so there we go. 9. Alright, just make sure you've got your 9 in there. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That will be fairly tight, like I struggled, as you saw, to get into that one. Now being careful, this here is a stitch. It may not look like it, you've got your stitch there, but that is a stitch. So pop a single crochet in there, and then in every stitch all the way across until you get to your stitch marker, and I'm going to pop that on fast and off we go. Alrighty, so we are coming towards the end of the round here. I'm in my very last stitch, and we're going to single crochet in the stitch with our stitch marker. Remove our stitch marker. Let's try that again. And replace it in the same stitch. Right, from here we're going to do an increase round, all right? But in this case we're going to increase on every 5th stitch and not every 4th like we did down here. Okay, this is counted as the first one, so 1, go into the next one, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, 2 in your 5th stitch. So 1 and 2. All right, and that's the pattern in the round. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 in your 5th. 1 and 2. All right, so continue that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 in your 5th. 1 and 2. All right, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do that. What I want you to do is 1, 2, 3, 4 across, 2 into the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4 across, 2 into the 5th. All right, so go ahead and do that now. Meet me back here once you're done, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of the round, and you would have ended up with 2 single crochets in your last stitch. That would have been your 5th stitch. Alright, so what you're going to do, I think I've split this. Oh no, that's okay. Single crochet, it does feel like it's split. Let me try it, I'll take it undone. Single crochet in your stitch with your stitch marker. So 1 there. And replace your stitch marker. And single crochet in every stitch across. Now before you do, you should have 54 stitches in the round. Make sure you have 54. If it doesn't add up and you can't work out where the error is, just fudge it. Take one off, add one, whatever's easy for you. If everything's fine, which it should be, 54 stitches in the round, all you're doing is single crocheting in every stitch. So no more increasing at all. Single crochet in every stitch, super easy. Get to the end of this round right here. Meet us back here and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here I am at the end of this round. Again, make sure you have 54 stitches in the round or this next step is not going to work. You need an even amount of stitches in the round for the next step, and you actually need 54 stitches in the round for your next 4 fingers. All right. Okay, so in the meantime, you're going to single crochet into the stitch marker stitch and replace it like so. All right, and now we are going to chain 1, skip that next stitch and go into the very next. Now you're in here, you're already in this one, skip the first one and then go into your next one. Okay, chain 1, skip the first one into the next. That's it, you know this. Chain 1, skip, next. We've done this before in part 1. Skip, next. That didn't go in there. There we go, try it again. Chain 1, skip, next. All right, it's super easy. This is a round that we did do in part 1 of our series for the gloves. I'm hoping to get this last part done in one so we don't have to have a part 3. I'm hoping. All right, so chain 1, skip and single crochet all the way across. I will meet you at the end of this round. I'm not going to let you head off on your own. I'm just going to pop it on fast and off we go. chain 1, and you're skipping your very next stitch right there, and you're doing your single crochet in that stitch. But we're not doing a single crochet with this round, we are slip stitching just for this round and the next 5 rounds as well. All right, was it 4? I'll tell you in a minute. Yeah, remove your stitch marker, chain 1 and pull up a loop. You're going to cut that thread because we're changing to the greens. Pop your stitch marker back into the stitch that you just slip stitched into for later. All right, so that is that. You need to grab your green now, or the next color, which was this color right here. Yeah, Bushman, I think it was called, and just attach like you did with these. Yeah, you attach from the space before. Now I'm going to check where the spaces are. Space, single, and there's a space right there. Okay, so pop your green in, pull a loop through, passing it forward. Remember, you're in your chain space, chain 1, and we're going to do a single crochet in that space. Pop your tail back and your blue tail back. You're going to skip over that stitch marker stitch. Oh wait, you've got to chain your 1 first. Oops, grab your stitch marker. I'm doing it all topsy-turvy now. Pop your stitch marker in the green. Yep. Chain your 1, skip over your orange stitch marker and single crochet into the chain 1 space. All right, if you can't remember how to do this, you can go back to part 1 and I'll leave a timestamp for you in part 1 where you can just repeat this section. So chain 1, skip the single crochet, find the chain space right there. It's a little tricky with the blue, and do your single crochet. Now I'm not going to let you watch me do this. Skip 1, go into the space, because you know how to do this because you've done it with that piece there. But what I will do is I'll leave a little timestamp right here in a minute, and it'll show you to go back to part 1 and repeat this section here. All right, but if you want to know how to do the next step, it's 2 rounds of the green, 1 round of the gold or yellow, 2 rounds of the green, and then we'll all meet back to start on the blue. All right, so do 2 rounds of green, 1 round of yellow, 2 rounds of green. Once you get those 5 rounds complete, meet me back here and we will talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so that's it. You are repeating exactly what we did here there, and I will leave a timestamp here in a minute, including all the information where you can go back on part 1 and repeat that. If you know how to do it, just repeat that. Remember to keep replacing your stitch markers here. All right, so I will meet you all once you've completed your next 5 rounds altogether. Meet me back here and we'll change over to the blue. Alrighty guys, so here I am at the end of the final round of green. So I've done my 2 rounds green, 1 yellow and 2 rounds green. If you have not done your 5 rounds like this, you need to do that before continuing. And now I've chained 1 and I'm going to slip stitch into the blue stitch marker stitch, remove my blue stitch marker, pull up a loop and give my green a cut for the very last time. Yay, very exciting, yeah? All right, so remove that. Yep. Now we're going to change back to the blue, the main color, yeah? So, all right, let's just pop that tail in there for now. Now remember where you left off, which was here, and you ended up with your orange stitch marker on your lower round. Oh, let's get a close up. Now, if you didn't do this, don't stress. It's pretty much, there's your little V section there. Just go right up to that lemon or yellow, the green, and move 1 step over, and then pop your hook in the space. All right, but this is exactly where your orange stitch marker is going to be in a minute, right in this space here. See, that's where we are. We're going to pop it up here in a minute. Chain 1, single crochet in the same space. Let's just remove that stitch marker and replace it there. Go back to the orange stitch marker. All right, chain 1, pop your stitch mark, your thread at the back, sorry. And once again, you're just going to skip over and single crochet in the next space. Chain 1, skip your single into the next space. You've been doing this for the past 5 rounds. Okay, so that's pretty much all we're going to do. That's just closing up our colours so that we can join and be onto our blue for the next few rounds. So we're almost there. I've got a little knot there. I'm actually going to pop my tail at the back in that second last space. Chain 1. So I've left that big gap there. Now what you're going to do is just skip over. You've got your chain 1, skip over, and you're going to single crochet, not slip stitch, single crochet into that tight stitch there. Yeah, so single, remove your stitch marker and replace it in that single. And then this is what you're going to do. I nearly did a chain 1, I don't want to do that. We're going to single crochet into the next chain space. So single into the space, single into your stitch, single in the space, and single in your stitch. All right, you can see where I'm going. Into the space and into the stitch. Yeah, I'm not going to let you watch me do this, it'll take a while. So what I do want you to do is put, in fact, a single crochet in every stitch if you think about it all the way across. So single into the next space, single into the stitch, space, stitch, space, stitch, all the way across. Get to your very last space right there, or stitch. Meet me there once you're done, and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty, here we are at the end of this round. In actual fact, I'm not really at the end. I have a single crochet in the next stitch. And the reason I did that is because I want to show you there's actually a chain space there that you need to do your single crochet in before you single crochet into your stitch marker stitch. Now, before you do anything, count your stitches and make sure you have 54 stitches, or the next few rows, rounds, if you will, are not going to work. So first thing we're going to do, count those stitches, and then place a single crochet in your stitch marker stitch. Replace it there. And one single crochet into every stitch in the round. Super easy round, this one. I don't need to let you watch me do it. You're going to head off on your own and pop a single crochet into every stitch. Get to this round and let's talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, I forgot to mention that we probably would need one more round. I thought we were at the end, but we're not. We've got one more round to do. I do apologise. So all you're doing is popping a, so far away, single crochet into your first stitch. Remove your stitch marker. This is the final round before we do our fingers, yeah? So get excited, guys. Just doing a single crochet into every stitch in the round. Make sure you have 54 stitches at the end of this round. All your digits on your fingers will not work. All right, complete the round, get back here and get ready to do our fingers. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this round. And now what we're going to do here is start our finger digits, all right? I thought I'd show you in the lighter colour, but actually it's not too bad, all right? So first thing we're going to do is pop a single crochet in that stitch right there with our stitch marker. That's one. All right, so what I want you to do before we do anything is from these last stitches here, you're going to count back 8. So go from this stitch right here, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Pop your stitch marker in the 8th stitch there. All right, now this stitch right here, the one we're in, is going to be classified as 1. Okay, so we're going to count 8 across. This is the first one, and now we're going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Do your single crochet there. I want you to grab your work and just bring it all the way around. You're skipping all of these stitches, all of them, and you are working on your 8 stitches over here. So it's a little awkward, and all you did was, if you just wanted to flatten it out like that and then go right back to that 8th stitch that we counted backwards at and put a single crochet in that 8th stitch. So pop your hook in and do a normal single crochet. What I want you to do is place a stitch marker there. It's a little awkward and a little tight, but it'll remind you that there's a stitch there. Okay, so that's your 9th stitch, and right next to it is your 10th, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16 stitches. All right, you have 16 stitches in the round, and you've closed up for your very first digit, which is your pointer finger. Yeah. Now we're going to do another round, so pop your hook into your first stitch, doing your first single crochet. Remove your stitch marker and replace it, and count again. And now all you're doing is working on these stitches. So you've got your first one, which is your stitch marker stitch, and then you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's going to be a bit tight here, and 8, which is your stitch just before your stitch marker. Just a little tiny bit awkward. Let's get a nice close up so you can see. Okay, so your 8th is right there. So this whole area is going to be very tight. So there's the 8th. And remember, your 9th will always be in the stitch with your stitch marker. So 9, remove the blue and replace it. And it's going to be very tight, that whole area. So that's your 9th stitch. And you're going to continue along your stitches here. A very close look at it right there. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. All right, single crochet into your first stitch. I found when I started creating this glove, I kept omitting that stitch close to the stitch marker here, or accidentally omitting the other one. So be careful not to omit anything, and make sure you have 16 single crochets in the round. And you need to know that because we're going to pop a single crochet in this stitch marker stitch. Remove it, replace it here. And actually, before we continue, you might want to pop this on and check it out. Okay, I've got threads in here. I hope they don't come out. There you go. Now, you might find it might be a little tight, might not be. Okay, actually, it's quite all right there. And that's pretty much all you're doing. But you are going to add some more rounds, and it's up to you how many rounds you would like to add. I think I'm going to add altogether 5 rounds. This is the second round that we've just did. It's actually the first round if you think about it. So really 4 rounds, and then we'll try it on, yeah? try it on, because you might find that 5 is too much for you, but you are working on these rounds. How exciting is this? You are working on these rounds. So continue in the round. We'll go up to the 4th round and then you can try it on. You might find that that's tall enough. I usually do 5 rounds for the fingers, but that doesn't mean anything. It just means that's the stitch marker stitch. You can leave it there for now. Yeah, we still need it until the end of our finger. This is a 3rd round. Yeah, you might not need it. So you might need less or whatever. It just depends on the comfort of your finger, how many rounds you'd like to do. And this is the 3rd round. We're going to do 1 more and then we'll talk. When you get to that blue stitch marker, it will be tight, but it is a stitch, don't miss it, yeah? Right there. There. And remove a stitch marker and replace it. Yours might be a little bit loose. Mine's very tight, so it's really important for me to keep the stitch marker in or I'll forget it, yeah? So I'm in there already. We're going to jump into the very next stitch. Single all the way. I'm going to do 1 more round once I get to that orange stitch marker. And then I'm done for now. We can try it on. And again, like I said, I usually do 5, so it may need another one, but we'll see. It's about trying it on and seeing what's comfortable. Maybe for the larger size, you'd want to do that 5th round. Let's try the 4th round for now. And I'll let you know in a minute. Oops, stitch marker in there. There. All right, there's a stitch before my stitch marker. Just going to pop that through like that. This is the 4th round. Sorry guys, I just popped that on silent real fast because I realised I had another round there to do. So altogether I've done 4 rounds. Maybe I'll just do the 5th round. Hello, let's just do it. Don't you love it? She just decides at the spur of the moment, yeah? All right, so stitch marker back in there. The bonus with this round here is you don't put the blue one back in. Once you do the stitch marker, stitch that blue one there, then you can just take that out. All right, so I'm going to pop this one on fast and I want you to get all the way back around to the orange stitch marker, and you can remove that when you get there. All right, and off we go. Alrighty guys, what I'm going to do here to show you what to do with this tail, we're going to do a single crochet in the very last stitch, and we are going to slip stitch into this stitch with your stitch marker. So slip stitch into your stitch with your stitch marker like so. Now just remove your stitch marker and just pull up a loop. Well, give your work a cut first, yeah. Then pull up your loop like so. If you can get it like me. All right, so pull up your loop and just pull it down real tight. And what it does is it kind of hides in there, but you are now going to weave that end in. And the idea is to weave it in, but slip stitch it kind of into the very next stitch. So it's kind of a little bit up that way, go into the very next stitch like that. And it will pull it down on the inside of your glove or on the outside, depending on what finger you're working on, and you won't see it. Now, you really need to weave it in on the inside of your glove and not the outside, so it's a little awkward. So what I do is I put the needle on the inside of the finger of the glove. So hopefully you don't have as many ends in there as I do. Turn your glove inside out without pinning yourself. Yeah, that's a given right there. See right there? Don't you love it? Now hopefully you've weaved in all your tails and not like mine. Now all you want to do is find some stitching wherever you want. Oh, it is not very close. To weave it in. So find some stitches anywhere you like. Just pick up a little thread just to pull it through a little bit. Yeah, it's just it's kind of like locking it into place, and start weaving in any stitches you like across. All right, being careful here not to go out of the original finger. If it helps to stick your finger in there so you don't find yourself going out. Notice how I'm just going in different directions just for fun, not necessary. I'm just doing it because, well, I can. I can. Just giving it a stretch. And then we're going to go back in the same direction, different stitches, completely different stitches. And I'm not going through all thicknesses, just through like little bits of the threads. All right, so splitting the yarn, if you will. And you don't have to do it as much as I'm doing it. I'm just a little bit of a fussy pants. 2 would have been fine. All right, so that's that. Grab your scissors, and don't forget, guys, you need to weave in all these other ends. Make sure we are happy with our little 1 digit so far. 1 digit so far. We're going to do the other 3 in a minute. All right, so I'm pulling this too tight now. There you go. So there you go. That's your first pointer finger done. Simply divine. All right, so that's digit number 1 done. We're going to do the next 3. So grab your hook yet again and pop your hook in the stitch where your work comes out of. So it comes out of there. You're popping your hook in that stitch. Then you're going to the opposite side of your pointer finger and pop your hook into that opposite stitch. All right, if you don't do this, you're going to end up with a gap between your fingers. So grab your little tail, pop it over your hook, and pull your loop through like so. I'm just going to pop the tail in front for a minute just so that we can lock it into place with a chain. And in the same stitch that you are in, you're going to do a single crochet through all thicknesses. Pull your loop through like so, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. Now, you can do this if you like, right there. By all means, if you want to pop a stitch marker there. It will be really awkward to work with later, but I do like the idea of it. So now what I'm going to do is just pop that tail inside the glove. And this way you don't have to deal with it on the outside, and later you can just weave it in. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet 8 across. That's your first one. That's classified as 1. Go into the very next stitch, which is right there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Just pull up the loop and hold it there. Go to the other side and count 7 across, and count 8 across from your little space there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. The only reason you need that stitch marker, you don't really need it, but just to show you exactly where to place your hook in a minute. Remember how we did this one here? We're going to do the same. We're going to go right across into that 8th stitch that you just counted. Pull a loop through, remove that stitch marker now. Don't leave that too tight, but don't leave it too loose either, yeah? And complete your single crochet. All right, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 in the same space that you are in. You've got to go back into that stitch right there. You might find that the tail's in your way. That's okay, crochet over it. And that's your 16 stitches across, yeah? Then you want to go all the way over here and single crochet back into the stitch marker stitch. Like so. A little awkward, that's what I said, it's a little awkward here. So that's 1. Now if you don't want to use your stitch marker anymore, you need to count 16 stitches across. So that's 1. I would still use it because I'm a little pedantic like that. You don't need to. You know, she's just fussy pants, yeah. So 1, the first single crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and don't forget your 8th stitch. We did put a stitch marker on the other side before. Remember that side? We put a stitch marker here. I didn't put one, but that's your 8th stitch right there. Don't forget it, yeah? So you go into that stitch there. 8, 9, in the actual groove. 10, oops, tighten it up a little. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and right there before your stitch marker there is a stitch 16. Very tight, but don't miss it. Let me show you real close up there. You can see you are in this one. Your stitch is there, but there is one right there. It's tricky, but don't miss it, yeah? Or you will be one stitch short. And there you go. So that's pretty much it. Before you continue, you might want to try it on. It wouldn't make much of a difference anyway, because that's the actual count. But know this, if it's a little tight, don't stress too much, that will stretch. Yeah, your gloves will stretch as you go along, okay? That's the beauty of crochet. Don't you love it? Don't you love crochet? Yes, you do. The only thing that won't stretch in this matter would be if you did it in cotton. It may not stretch, so you need to be wary about cotton does not stretch in this case. It depends on the cotton. If it's the soft, I don't know what you want to call it, the soft, stretchy kind of cotton, maybe, but normal cotton, no. So you've done your 2 rows. You need to do another 3 more rows. All right, so I'm going to start you off. You know how to do this because you've done it with this part here. You go straight into the stitch and you go 1, replace your stitch marker. If you can get it in. That goes to show crochet really tight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's really tight, but it's there. 8. And don't forget the 9th, which is very tight right there, but it is there, yeah? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Whoops, like so. Single crochet back into your first, and you need to do 4 more rounds just like this one. All right, head off on your own, do 4 rounds, meet me back here, and we'll talk about the very next finger. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our piece. Now it may look like it's a little longer than the other one. It is by 1 round, but what you have here is simply that. Your middle finger is a lot taller than the others, so you do need a bit more length. When you look at it, it kind of looks almost even, really. So if you didn't want to put that extra round in, you could take that undone. And if you find it's actually too low, you can do another round. There's sort of no rules here. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable on your hand. So once again, you're on your last stitch. Give your work a cut like so. Pull your loop through. Once again, you're grabbing your sewing needle. We'll do that real quickly. I'm not going to fuss too much. I'm just going to do the first 2, and I'm actually not going to weave it in. I just want to show you where to pop your stitch, and you can weave that in on later when you're ready. So right here, excuse me, let's bring this up nice and close. There you go. So right here we have our stitch. You could go this way. You could go, look, it doesn't really matter. I'm thinking of going this way just for fun. It doesn't matter which way you go in, okay? So you bring your tail in like that, and then you go into the very next stitch, pulling it through like so. Oh, don't do that. Pulling it through like so. Remove your stitch mark, you don't need it there. Turn it inside out and weave that tail in. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to waste your time, but we'll do that later. So what I want you to do now is exactly the same for the next digit. I'm going to start you off, and then you're going to head off on your own and do the rest, all right? So pop your hook in the same stitch, remember, as this one. Go right over to the opposite side, same stitch. Make sure you're in the same stitch. Yeah. There you go. Grab your tail of your thread and pull it through like so. Passing your tail forward. Chain 1. The forward just helps you lock it into place because I don't knot here at Wow Crochet Designs. So pop your hook back in the same thickness. Pull the loop through. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. That's your single crochet that you've been doing all along. And she's singing now, guys. We're getting excited because we're nearly done. Grab your little tail and pop it straight back into your piece. And you'll go over it later when you're doing that last stitch, remember, like we did before. So once again, we're doing 8 across. Now that's the first one, yeah. You're going into the next one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so grab your stitch marker if you want to. You don't need to, but I just find it easier to count later. So there's your first one that you're in, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You don't need to put it in there if you don't want to. You can just count over 8 if you know exactly where to put your stitch once you've counted over. And you're going to do your normal single crochet in that stitch, and that's 9. Remove your stitch marker. You can put it back if you like. I'm not going to. Just make sure you count later. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, very tight here now. This is a little awkward. 15. And you want your 16 to go into the same stitch over there, right there. See that stitch there? 16 goes into there. So first thing you need to do, same thing as you've been doing with the other one, single into the first stitch like so. Now even more awkward because we've got all these fingers in our way. Yeah, like that. All right, so that's pretty much it. I don't think I need to show you. I'm just going to do the next stitch so that I'm out of this section here. It's a little awkward. So 1, and then what I want you to do is do 5 rounds of this finger. What you do your 5 rounds, try it on, see how it fits on you. If you're not happy with it, then do the 6th round or take the 5th round off and keep it as a 4th round. But I'm putting 5 rounds on. That's already my first round. I'm going to do another 4 rounds. All right, so pop all the rounds on that you want. Meet me back here and we'll focus on our very last digit up the top and then work on the thumb. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this piece, and as you can tell I've weaved in some of the ends, not all of them, but you know what, I ended up doing about I think 5 rounds on this one. I did it a lot actually, considering, but you can do as many rounds as you like to suit your fingers. Yeah, once you start moving it, it moves up a little bit anyways, so there you go. And it's entirely up to you how long you want yours to go. Between 5 and 6 rounds you can't go wrong altogether, yeah, or even 4. You know, if you've got a shorter hand, even 4, yeah? All right, so there you go. Now we're up to our final digit before we start our thumb, and then we're done. It's very exciting. All right, so grab your thread. I'll actually leave a thread there until you find your spot. And you know what I mean by finding your spot. Remember that little stitch, the final stitch that was there. You want that side, a little bit awkward, and a final stitch. Make sure you're in that final stitch there. Now I did find this one here very awkward and I kept skipping that very last stitch. So keep that in mind when you're doing the next one. Yep. So thread on your hook, pull your loop through like normal. Yep. Passing your tail forward just to lock it into place for the first stitch. So it's chain 1 and then single crocheting into the same stitch that you are in, and there's your first stitch right there. Now I found, to be fair, with this one here, it was probably easier. I took it undone to crochet over my thread a little bit. I found that a lot easier, all right? So a bit of heads up there. I'm going to do that with this particular piece here, all right? So that's the stitch we're in. We want to go into the next one and I'm going to crochet over my tail. Not necessary, but I did find it easier later to weave it in, yeah? So that's the second single crochet, third single crochet. If it annoys you, don't do it. Pop your tail in, you can weave it in the other way. Fourth single crochet. Remember this particular finger, your pinky, is going to be a lot smaller. Yeah. 5. You know what I'm going to do with the 4? I'm going to pop that tail inside now because I don't want you to miss these stitches because I'm fussing with the tail. There we go. All right. So that's your 4th, and you are right there. No, you're here. So you want to go into there. 5. See, that's why I meant better to push the tail out the way. 6. I tried it. 7. I did try it, but it didn't work. 8. 8. You don't need the stitch marker for this one because it's the last digit. 9. 10, 11, let's get in there, 11, it's fairly tight this area, and you need to get a 12th one in here, which is right in the stitch, the very first stitch that you are into, your main stitch, yeah? So you need to pop your 12th one in there. They all had more stitches on purpose. I planned for the pinky to be a lot smaller, yeah. So in the very next stitch, which is your first stitch, it's really awkward, this finger, because it's the last one. It's a very tight area. Get into that very first stitch you are in. Look at the stitch marker came undone. do your first single crochet. Very, very awkward, that first stitch, yeah? But don't do it too loose in the assumption that it'll make it easier. If it's too loose, it's going to be no good, yeah? But don't do it too tight either. She's so fussy. 2, and right in there, don't miss it. This is what I was doing before with the other one. 12. I was missing that last stitch. Don't miss that last stitch, yeah? And go into your very next stitch marker stitch, which I'm going to have to do with the stitch marker out because it's so tight, with your first one again. I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me do this because it'll take forever. So what I want you to do is the same thing you've done here. Make your rounds to suit around there. We'll just say 4 or 5 rounds all together. See how it looks on your hand. Meet me back here and we'll get excited because we're going to finish off the thumb. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this little pinky. Oh, it's very little. It's a very little pinky. So there you go. You have your 4 fingers. We are now going on to the thumb. Get excited, guys. We're nearly done. All right. So the thumb itself is a tiny, tiny little bit different. We have to make sure we are decreasing a little bit. So we're not going to start in the space with our stitch there. I'm sorry, try that again. That's where the stitch is. We're not going to start in the space with the stitch. We're going to start in the space right next to the stitch because this area needs to be decreased a little bit, all right? Otherwise your thumb's going to be really big and we don't want that. So grab your thread, pop it on your hook and get excited, guys. This is it. This is it. Well, no, not really. You still have another hand. A chain 1, don't you love it? Single crochet in the same stitch as your chain 1. Pop your stitch marker in. All right, and I'm going to crochet over the tail. So single in your next one, which is 2. We're counting our stitches. Single in the next 3. Single in the next 4. Like we did before, and then we're just going to tuck it in. You can do 5th one, 6th one, 7, 8, whatever, but I'm just going to leave it at 4 for now, and then we're going to weave that in as well. Don't assume it's done. You have to weave it in as well, yeah? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and your 10 is going to be your 2 together, all right? So you start in that space, a big space that you come to, you're in that stitch. You start in the big space, pull a loop through, jump into the next space. You can go into there if you like, but I find the hole is relatively big. So go into the next space, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Okay, all right? And then you jump into the very next stitch, which is a little bit tricky now because this is the base of our stitching, yeah? So you're into that stitch, you're going right into the next one, 11, 12, 13, 14, and you're going into the whole stitch there, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 and 20 can be done together. So you go into 19, pull a loop through, into 20, pull a loop through, yarn over your hook, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, all right? And then from here, you're going to pop a single crochet into the stitch with your stitch marker. Remove your stitch marker and replace it. like so. All right, so now we have our second round of decrease. Okay, so I was about to chain one, we don't want to do that. Single crochet into the next one, that's classified as our first one. Single 2, single 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and now you are here where you are going to do 9 and 10 together. Okay, so 9 and 10 together will classify as the 9th stitch. Yeah, 11, 10, sorry. I even said that too. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. My thread's coming through, peeping through. Naughty thread, get down there. 15, don't you love it? 16. And you're going to do the last 2 stitches together, which is 17 and 18. 1 and 2, like that. So you will end up with 17 stitches in the round. So single crochet into your first stitch that you've come to. Replace that stitch marker. There. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no more decreasing, 6, 7, 8. If you can get into the stitch. Wait a minute, let's just try and have a look here what we've got. 7, 8, a little tricky there. 9, remember there's no decreasing. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Now it is easy to miss a stitch around there, just be wary, yeah? So you're working on 17 stitches. Let me start you off with your first stitch, like so. Remove your stitch marker and replace it. That is stitch number 1 in your round. And so you don't have to sit here and watch me do it. All you need to do now is do your 4 or 5 rounds. You could even do 6. At this stage, I'm going to make 5 rounds. And then meet me back here once you've done your rounds, and we will finalise glove number 1. Alrighty guys, so here I am at the end of the thumb. I ended up doing 5 rounds and not 4. I think I mentioned 4 rounds, but I ended up doing 5 rounds on mine. But you could have just done 4. Alright, so that is your right hand. Moving right along, let's get on with the left hand. Alrighty guys, now that we've completed our right hand, let's do our left hand. And you should have 45 stitches in the round at the moment. Alright, so remember when we started the thumb on our right hand, we started chaining up 9, skipped 9, and then did our single crochets in the round. This time we're going to do the opposite. Flip your piece and count 9 stitches back like this. Let me show you nice and close. So the first stitch is the actual first stitch of your piece. So this is the last stitch. So that's 1. You're counting from the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then in your 10th stitch, place your stitch marker. All right. So if you put your stitch marker there and you count 9 across, That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Your next stitch will be the main start of your work. All right, so what we're going to do is do our single crochets in the round until we get to that blue stitch marker. Ignore this one. This is just to stop me from pulling my thread out when I walk away, because I'm forever pulling it out. Yeah. All right, so first thing you need to do is, I've got the right hook. Yes, I have. I had to check that then. Is single crochet all the way across your piece. So just into the very next stitch, we're here, just go into the next stitch and single crochet across until we get to the blue stitch marker. Alrighty, I'm going to get a close up now. I've got one more stitch before my stitch marker. So let's do that last stitch. Make sure you get that last stitch in, don't forget it. And where your stitch marker is, you need to place your next single crochet right in that stitch marker stitch. Alright, so what you should have left now is 9 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. All right, so this is where we do our thumb. We chain 9, and don't make these chains too tight or too loose. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and then you single crochet in that very first stitch with your stitch marker. So do your single crochet, remove your stitch marker and replace it right there. All right, so now we are going to single crochet all the way across again until you get to your chains. All right, so what I want you to do is single crochet all the way across, get to your chain, your stitch right here, and I will meet you there in a moment, and then we will talk about what we're going to do with the thumb. Alrighty guys, I am about a stitch off from my chains, and I'll show you real quickly. Right there. So I've got one more stitch there, and you can see it. If you look on top, you can see the little V's. So one more stitch there. And then what we're going to do is put 9 single crochets in the top of our chains. So just grab that very first loop you see there and do 1 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, just in the top loop, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now if you remember with the right hand, we had a little trouble getting into the last one. This one's not bad. 9. And that's it. And then you single crochet into your stitch with your stitch marker. But before you do, count your stitches and make sure you still have 45 stitches. Yep. So single crochet in the stitch with your stitch marker. Pop your stitch marker back into that stitch. Pop your little, you don't have to do this, I'm doing it so I don't lose my thread when I walk away. Now the reason I'm doing just that is simply this. You're done. What? They're saying, what? What are you talking about? You're not done exactly. All you need to do now is to repeat the process that we used for the right hand for the left hand. And what I will do is pop a time up there, right now. And that is where you start to do your next round, which will be your increased round of single crochet 4 across and then 2 into the 5th one. All right, and that's exactly the same. The rest is exactly the same as your There was a bit of a break there, as your right hand. So from here onwards, you are repeating exactly the same as you've done here. All right, so go back to that time, do the left hand exactly the same as the right hand, and then you, my dears, are done. It's very exciting, isn't it? And that's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining us here in creating these gorgeous half fingerless gloves for Father's Day here in Melbourne this weekend. You can create your gloves for whoever you like. Now, quick heads up, I made these ones for me. Don't you love it? I made them for me. But you can create them for yourself as well. Also, a very special thank you once again for Carmen with her co-combined colour coordination with me. And I chose the yellow, Carmen chose all the other colours, and they are simply divine together. All right, if you want to be a part of Live Antics and get the opportunity to choose the colour combination of our very next tutorial, join us on Saturday mornings live at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time every week, unless I'm sick, every week, and we will see you then. And you, as a subscriber, can get the choice to choose a colour combination of the very next tutorial. All right, thank you very much for watching. My name is Mary, and this is Wow Crochet Designs. Ciao for now.